We continue now at the top of Daf Mem Zayin Amud Beis Meseches Nedarim. This is Nedarim Daf 47b. The Gemara is continuing with Rami Bar Chama's question. O Dilmor, maybe we say Mishum de Chilufin Kegidulin Dami, since Chilufin is really the same as Gidulin. Again, we said in the previous Amud, let's say a person says these particular peiros are usher to me, so then we say that which grows from the peiros is usher, that's the Gidulin, and anything that's exchanged for those peiros is usher to him. And Rami Bar Chama's question is, well, what if the person prohibits the fruits, his fruits, on somebody else? So in that case, we know the Gidulin are a problem, but what would be with the Chilufin? Maybe we say the Chilufin is not a problem. O Dilma, again, like the Gemara here says, no, maybe Mishum the Chilufin ke Gidulin Dami, since Chilufin is really like Gidulim, so Lo Shnahu v'Lo Shna Chaveru. It doesn't matter if he's prohibiting it, the fruits to himself, or he's prohibiting it to his friend. In both situations, the Chilufin will be Aser. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Acha bar Menyume. Rav Acha bar Menyume says, Tashma, come and hear the following proof. The Braisa says, Ha'omer li'ishto konim shaninen eloch. Let's say a person says to his wife, a konim, from me benefiting you, meaning it is prohibited from you, the wife, to benefit from me, the husband. So the Braisa says, Love u'balechovin boin v'nifroid. So she can borrow money from other people, and then those creditors, those balechovin, they can go and they can collect from the husband, because really the husband does have an obligation to support his wife. So that's a way that she can collect her support, and the husband will pay. He'll pay these other individuals. And so the Gemara now says, "My time balechovin nifron." What's the reason why the creditors are able to now collect from the husband? Lav mishum de chilufin lav kegidulin dami. Isn't it because chilufin in exchange is not the same as gidulin, meaning chilufin is not usher? Because this really is a case like chilufin. Because what's the wife doing? She's collecting from other people, and then those other people are collecting from the husband. So essentially, she's exchanged the property of the husband, which is really prohibited to her. She has exchanged that for other property, for the property of these other individuals, and then they're going and collecting from the husband. So that shows that there is no prohibition of chilufin in a situation where one person tries to prohibit his property on someone else. And the Gemara answers, Amar Rava, Rava says, Dilma maybe, lechatchila hu delo, maybe yeah, lechatchila, that is the case, chilufin would be a problem. However, v'yavad avid, but if it's already done, it's already done. And the Mefarish over here says, Konem shani nene loch lavu balechovin boin v'nifroin. Again, the husband says a prohibition that she cannot get benefit from him. The wife cannot get benefit from him. So she goes in and she borrows, and they, the creditors, they go and they get paid up. Mibala, they get from the husband. The ratzon habalhu sheyil v'lo. The husband really wants that they should lend to her because again, he has to support her. V'hacha de love sameacherim. So here, that's exactly what's happening. She's borrowing from other people. The chilufe memono shal bal havi. That's essentially the chiluf. That is the exchange of the money of the husband. She's not getting from the husband. She's instead getting as an exchange, so to speak, from these other people. V'lo mitzar, and apparently it's not prohibited. She's able to do this, and they can collect from him. Alma dein adam oser davar shelo bali olam al chavero. You see, a person does not prohibit something that's lo bali olam, because again, this exchange over here is like lo bali olam. Donif roin mibala, because again, they're able to collect from her husband. And the Gemara says, Lav ke gidulin dami. Again, it seems like it's not gidulin. Uvi gidulin aser, avol b'chalif and mutter. Again, gidulin would be aser in a situation where person A tries to prohibit his property on person B, but chalifin would not be a problem in that case. And the Gemara answered, Amar Rava, Rava says, Li'olam e malachta chalifin ke gidulin damu. Really, chalif in the exchange is ke gidulin. It should be a problem. A mitzrin it's aser. V'yahachi lechatchila lo silva. Now the Mefarish learns that what it means to say, what the Gemara means is that's why lechatchila she really shouldn't borrow v'tochal and eat. She shouldn't borrow from others. That would be an exchange. Lechatchila it's a problem. Avol b'di'evet shapir dami. But if it's already done, then it is okay. Now that which we said earlier, so we had a case of mudar hana, a similar case, where the person has nothing to eat, and so therefore someone else, he gets it from someone else, and that person collects from the person that he wasn't supposed to take from. So says the Mefarish, lo dami aloha. That case is not similar, even though it seems very similar. The wife is going to other individuals, those other individuals collect from the husband. We had almost the same case over there, but the difference is, the high-low because in the case earlier, the person, the original person, there's not an obligation for that person to support. Here you have a husband who's obligated to support the wife. Here where the person is paying him, he's not doing it he's not doing it for that reason. He's just doing it as a matana. He's giving it like a gift. That's why he's giving it. But over here by the husband, he really has an obligation to support her. That's why you would say over there it's problematic now. If he's going ahead and paying this Baal Chov, this is something that's an obligation. He's not doing it as a matana bialma. He really is doing it to ultimately benefit his wife because he has this obligation to benefit his wife. That's why it could be more problematic in this situation. And the Gemara continues, Tashma, come and hear the following proof. The Mishnah in Kiddushin says, "Hamekadesh be'orla ena mekudeshes." If somebody does a Kiddushin with orla is aser b'hana, so he tries to give the orla to the woman in order to be mekadesher, it will not be a good Kiddushin. Now, mecharon v'kiddush b'demeyin, let's say he sells them, he sells the orla, and then he uses the money to be mekadesh for Kiddushin, harezu mekudeshes, that would be a good Kiddushin. And the Mefarish says, Tashma de mutter afilu lechatchila. We'll bring a proof from this Mishnah in Kiddushin that it's mutter even lechatchila, the exchange. We're assuming the exchange of orla should be the same halachas as the exchange of property, which is asr because of a neder. And the Mefarish continues, "Hamekadesh ba'orla shu iser hana eina mekudeshes." Again, if you're mekadesh with orla where there's an iser hana, you can't get any benefit, so it's not really worth anything. It's not a good kiddushin. But mecharon v'kiddush b'demein mekudeshes. But let's say you sell it. You're not supposed to sell it. But let's say you sell it and you take the money, you use it for kiddushin. That would work. Almud de chalipin lav kegidulin damu. It seems that chalipin in exchange is not like the growth. The gidulin aser of a chalipin mishteri. It seems like gidulin is aser, but chalipin seems to be mutter from this Mishnah. And the Gemara says, no, hachinami lechatchila hu delo v'yavad avad. Here also lechatchila, the person shouldn't do this, shouldn't sell the orla in order to use it for kiddushin. But if he does, then it would work b'di'evid. The Mefarish says, hachinami mayri de lechatchila lo yimchar. Lechatchila he shouldn't sell. V'im kidesh b'demeyem my david avad. But if he did sell and he has the money and he did a kiddushin, that would be effective. So again, it's only talking b'di'evid. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Hareini olecha chayrim. Let's say a person uses the phrase, I am upon you a chayrim. So then the halach is hamudar aser. The other individual becomes aser. In other words, the person is saying, my property is prohibited to you. That's what that phrase means. The Mefarish over here says, Hareini olecha chayrim, nechasayu olecha chayrim. My property is a chayrim to you. It is aser to you. Harei at olai chayrim. Let's say the phrase is, you are upon me a chayrim. So then hanodar aser. Then what's happening is the person making that neder, saying that phrase, what he's essentially saying is that the property is prohibited to him. Your property, the person is saying, your property is prohibited to me. Hareini alecha v'yat olai. Now let's say the language is, I am to you and you to me. So then shnehem asurin. So then they're both asur. Then the neder goes in both directions. I am asur in your property. You are asur in my property. And the Mishnah continues, Ushneim mutarin b'davar shel olei bavel. Now, let's say you have a situation where they're both asur in each other's property, but they would still be mutter to use items of olei bavel, of those who came up from Bavel, meaning to say that's like public property, and that's considered to be none of theirs. That property is not a problem. The Ran explains, mutarin b'davar shel olei bavel shehifkirum olei bavel l'chol Yisrael. We're talking about items, the olei bavel, those who came up to Eretz Yisrael from Bavel. They said these items are hefker for all of Klal Yisrael. They belong to all of Klal Yisrael. Those kind of items are not considered to be their personal property that's included in the prohibition in the neder. Those are going to be mutter. We'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Memches Amud Aleph.